You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time.
Again, starting episode of so. For the Miami Dolphins, season is over. We truly believe this podcast is by the fans and for the fans. So I thought it's only right to start this episode with a call out. If you're a Dolphins fan from the UK, from America, from Germany, from France, from Australia, from wherever you are, if you want to come chop it up with myself and Mr. Charlie Touche, leave us a comment on YouTube, on social media, Twitter, Instagram. Spoiler alert, we're joining TikTok very, very soon. So leave us a comment and we'll try and get you on, because we can't say we're for the fans and by the fans if you don't have fans alongside us telling us what they think about the latest ongoings in Miami, in the NFL. So that's the first thing I wanted to start off with. The second thing, Mr. Chris Adams, the Finch Tailgate, go check out his show. I apologize. This one's on me. He's meant to be here right now. It's meant to be a trio. It's meant to be Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, and our Jalen Waddle, instead of just Parker and Fuller. I'll let you work out who is who. I think, so for long-term listeners, we have, when me and Charlie speak off air about what time we're going to record, it's normally whoever says the time, that's normally so if I say 6 p.m., it's normally 6 p.m. my time, which is about 1 p.m. Charlie's time. So when we discussed time for this episode with Chris, I said 6 p.m. I said 6 p.m. I know it's early for Chris. That was going to make it, but I think somewhere it got lost in translation. So Chris, this one's on me. I apologize. We will get you on soon. 100% we will get you on soon. But apart from that, the Dolphins, we are now at this stage where it's everything's coming out about Flores' personality, about some of the decisions during the season, about, we're finding more and more about why he lost his job, why Greer kept his job. We're starting to hear about the potential people the Dolphins want to hire to replace Brian Flores. We're hearing that Brian Flores might go to Chicago. So, Mr. Charlie Touche, where are you at with where the Dolphins are right now? 48 hours after the firing of Brian Flores?
Woo. It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm Charlie Touche, got Kadeem Simmons with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Shout out to Kadeem wearing the vintage Florida Marlins jersey, not the Miami Marlins, the Florida Marlins, the Bobby Bonilla, Moises Alou Marlins, the Jeff Conine, Craig Counsell Marlins, the Oral Hershiser Marlins. You feel me? The Levon Hernandez Marlins, the Charles Johnson Marlins. All right, this is Go Time Dolphins. I could have kept going, man. I could have kept going. So vintage Marlins jersey on deck. 2 seasons in, we still don't get the time right as far as the time zones, the London time zone and the Eastern, what is it? Eastern, I forget what it's called. We call it Eastern Standard Time Zone. We call it. That's what we call it.
That's your wheelhouse. Like, I don't know what time zone you're in.
So yeah, man. So we still ain't get it right. Two seasons in, and we still dropping. We still fumbling over here. Go Time Dolphins. It's all right. Players mess up. Anyway, before we get into the candidates and more stuff that has come out in the past couple of days about the relationship between Greer and Flores, I'm gonna try my best to not play any sides. I didn't want Flores gone, but he's gone. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do. I didn't care that we fired him. It's not like I'm like, oh, I can't believe it. This is a catastrophe. It's a catastrophe inside the building. We're just a mess. But the fact that he's gone, I can understand it. And this is a question I want to present to all the listeners. What would you do? Right? If you have your head coach beefing with your GM, your head coach is beefing with your quarterback, and your head coach is beefing with your owner, and then your GM didn't pick the quarterback. It's a lot. So, but the quarterback and the GM isn't beefing though. So it's a lot going on, right? So I want to paint a picture for everyone, right? How about this? Imagine you're Brian Flores. I'm gonna say this before I get started again. I did not want him fired, but I understand, and I can also understand those who wanted Greer to follow him out the door. I get that too. Imagine you're Brian Flores, and you get this job. You get control over the 53, the roster. You get control over the staff. This is your staff. We're not gonna put nobody on you. You feel me? And the first season is exactly what everybody thought it would be, the worst season ever. Well, we still outperform it and won 5 games, but we had no expectations that first season. The second season, you're 10-6. You overperform again, and you're in the conversation for Coach of the Year. And the third season, we would like to think we were supposed to go to playoffs again, and no matter who says what nowadays, look, man, we thought we were going to the playoffs this year. I don't care what no one says. This was the year we're supposed to be going to the playoffs. All right. How about this? How about before the first season starts, Jim Caldwell says, "I'm out of here. I'm gone." It was a health issue. I hope he's feeling better, Jim Caldwell. After the first, and I think before the first season started, we lost our O-line coach too. The very first season, we lost our O-line coach. He left before the season started. Is that accurate?
I believe it was 3 days in, and I believe he got fired. If I remember correctly, and I just talk and I'll fact check, I'm pretty sure he got hired 3 days in, fired, and Brian Flores was wasn't a fit for us. We move on. But I will double check that.
Cool, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? You got to get the right people. I get it. That's the first season. After the first, we all know the Kenny Stills debacle. It's not a debacle. You got to pick your players. He's not a Brian Flores player. Okay, we get it. Minkah Fitzpatrick on the just not meshing. That's more Brian Flores. Is not really on Greer. We get it. And I'm gonna get on both sides. I'm gonna get on Greer in a second. But this is just Brian Flores right now. It's like, man, you got to take this with you. You feel me? This is on flow. So you have a situation where you just drafted the best safety in the draft, of Minkah Fitzpatrick, who I still think is nice, by the way, and you have to give up him, and you get an 18, the 18 pick overall. I think we got a 1 for him. All right, well, I don't know if that's enough, but we'll find out. We'll find out. The ball never lie, right? So we'll find out if a 1 was enough for Minkah Fitzpatrick. I doubt it, but okay, that's Flores like, yo, I can't do this with this dude. He's out of here. Get him out of here. We want Mike Tomlin voice. We want what'd he say? We want volunteers. We don't want hostages. Right? Cool. Season 2, Chad O'Shea, kick rocks. You out of here. Brian Flores brought Chad O'Shea in. Feel me? Brian Flores brings in Chan Gailey. Whispers saying maybe Chan Gailey was put on him. On the record, Brian Flores said it was 100% his decision. Don't put it on the record and get behind it and put your seal of approval on it. And we go to the receipts and you say, nah, this is me. All right. Chan Gailey, 1 season, out of here. Patrick Graham, Brian Flores, homie, defensive coordinator, right? Leaves, not fired. He leaves to take the same position for the New York Giants 1 season in to his contract with the Miami Dolphins, another one of Brian Flores' staff members. Go ahead, Kadeem.
Let's not finish because I want to talk about Patrick Graham, so I'll let you finish.
Yeah. So who else we got? We'll just go to this season now. I'm pretty sure I missed a couple people from Brian Flores' staff that were no longer with us that didn't make it to the third season. But then let's think about this now. So we're at season number 3 in Flores' tenure, and season 2 of Tua. Tua has had 3 offensive coordinators so far. Cool, whatever. We're going into season 4 of Flores. And Flores says, hey, I'm changing the staff again. Right? So you got to think. Let's stop. Let's pump the brakes for a second. Yeah, you can do what you want to do. That's cool. We're supposed to be in the playoffs by now. We haven't gotten there. Whether it's 1 game away both seasons, or 2 games away both seasons, or 10 games away. We're 1 game short both years. And I'm sure Miami was excited. I know I was excited. You know what I'm saying? I know Kadeem was excited. Yo, we're 1 game away. We're almost there. You know what I'm saying? So, but we didn't get there. All right. What happens is, oh, wait, I got to throw this out there. Cal Van Noy. Brian Flores says, bring in Cal Van Noy. We bring in Cal Van Noy. 1 year in, Brian Flores says, get him out of here. He's out of here. We'll get there. So, yeah, you're in charge of all this. You're in control of all this. And I gotta be real with you. Had we won a playoff game, just 1 playoff game, it'll be, hey, let him do what he wants to do. There's progress, and there still is progress. 2 winning seasons back to back for the first time in 20 years. That's progress. It's not. We shouldn't be excited. We shouldn't be overly excited about that. That should be normal. So, but yeah, there's progress for sure. So, flip side is Brian Flores says, hey, I'm changing some things up with the staff this year again. I'm bringing in another OC too or whatever. And the Dolphins are like, look, bro, your offense is really not that nice. It's never been that nice. And we don't know if we want you to be in charge of the staff on the offense anymore. You know what I'm saying? You got your people in place. That's cool. But I don't think we're signing off on your OC no more, because this is not working. We have a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract that we need to develop, and this is stunting his growth of in the developmental process. A lot of other things stunt this man growth too, but this is on Greer and Flores right now. So they say, nah, bro, you're not changing the staff again. And then he says, yes, I am. This is my staff. You're not going to tell me who I'm coaching with, right? So we get to a place where where Greer could say, had you picked the O-line better, I wouldn't have to change my staff. Maybe my staff will be a lot better as far as the OC, just the OC right now. We're not talking about the 3 O-line coaches that 2 of them weren't experienced. We're not talking about those that Flores brought in. But let's just talk about Flores saying, yo, he did not say this. This is speculation now. Hey, Greer, if you pick the O-line better, we might be more successful. You know what I'm saying? Maybe my OC would be a lot better too if the O-line was better. So we can't put it all on my OCs. So Greer could come back and say, how you going to tell me? Yeah, I missed a couple picks for sure. But how you going to tell me we'll be better if you can't even keep continuity in your own staff? Your own players that you're bringing in don't want to play for you. You talking about get Van Noy out of here because, you know what I'm saying? Like, he got pressure with you. Cal Van Noy was on the record. Hey, how you feel about Brian Flores? No comment. Like, bro, I would like to see that. I ain't gonna lie. Flo versus Van Noy. I think we need to put that on Triller. We need to put that on the next Jake Paul card. You know what I'm saying? Cal Van Noy versus Flores. I'll pay for that. That'll be the first Jake Paul fight I'll pay for. But so now you got Brian, you got the Greer side of things saying, all right, look, we're not a happy family. We get it. But we want to win. And we're not going as far as we need to go. But how about this? Let us pick your OC, and we'll keep you here. You do your thing on the defense. You're still the head coach, but we're going to pick the new OC. Flo says, nah, because now we got the Todd Haley effect. And again, I'm going to tell you guys what the Todd Haley effect is. Todd Haley pushed back on Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson was the head coach. It was confrontation in the coaching meetings, and it was embarrassing. So now Flo is like, yo, I'm going into my 4th season. If I allow you to bring in a whole offensive operation, I'm halfway out the door. I can understand why Flo wouldn't want that. And I can also understand Flo saying, yo, arguably I'm the coach of the year last year. Where our trajectory is where we needed to be. So no, I'm not going to have you step on my operation right now. But Flo, you weren't good on the offensive side of the ball. That's clear. So now there's a gripe. There's a struggle, power struggle, what everyone is saying. Power struggle. in the organization. What do you do? Now, this is the question I present to all the fans. What do you do? Do you fire your head coach? Do you trade your quarterback and fire your GM and keep your head coach? Do you move on from all three? Do you put all three in a room and say, we're just going to be dysfunctional and we're just going to be an unhappy family and we're going to try to get results? What do you do? Do you fire your head coach and GM because they both couldn't get along and you bring in someone new? Now I don't like that. I'm gonna tell you why I don't like the idea of. I'm gonna let Kadeem get in here for a second, but I'm gonna tell you why I don't like the idea of firing both when we're getting results. You see what I'm saying? So Kadeem, you say you wanted to say something about
Patrick Graham.
Yeah, Patrick Graham.
Yeah, so a lot of the points you were making. So I just thought you said you're gonna play both sides, and I feel like if you play one side, I'm gonna play the fan who disagrees with your opinion. So we're not going. So we're not agreeing. So stuff like the Patrick Graham situation, when he played the Giants this season, he came out and was like, "I love Flores." Like the way he spoke about him wasn't like someone who he didn't like. And even if there's just a mutual respect there, you can tell that Patrick Graham, is in a good place with Brian Flores. It probably just was a case of, like we saw this season, even though he did the defensive coordinator in Miami, if Brian Flores is calling plays, you're just like, do you know what? I might be making a sideward step, but at least it's on me. So same way when people talk about, why hasn't every enemy got a head coaching job? Guess he's the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs, but who's calling plays? And, maybe if he makes a sideward step and calls plays, people are like, you know what? This is definitely Eric Bieniemy, as opposed to, is it Andy Reid? And I think with Patrick Graham, it could have been a case of, I love being here. We've got a great defense. We're building something good, but I want to call plays. I want to basically sink or swim by myself. The Carl Van Noy thing is interesting because, Carl Van Noy and Brian Flores had worked together before. It's not like they didn't know what each other would like. Now, obviously, it's one thing when, and this is an assumption on my part, when Bill Belichick is the bad cop, Brian Flores is the good cop. When Bill Belichick is chewing out Carl Van Noy because he made a mistake on a play, Brian Flores is like, it's cool. I know what you were trying to do. Let's work on this and it doesn't happen again. As opposed to, obviously, he probably got to Miami and he's like, you're not the Brian Flores I knew in New England. But he can't be. All of a sudden, he has played good cop and bad cop. So, while I agree, obviously, something clearly went wrong between Carl Van Noy and Brian Flores. It's also a matter of, I'm the big boss now. I'm not just, like the shift manager. I'm the store manager. And when the store manager, everything falls on me. In New England, he's probably not going to get fired unless he really, really something goes wrong. In Miami, if it goes wrong, he's going to get fired, as he did. We also spoke about the offensive line coach. It was that's the wrong thing. I definitely found it. But it was a week into training camp. A week into training camp, he was let go, and it basically was because clashes. Oh yeah, Pat Flaherty, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Apologies if it's not, but fired the first week of training camp over clashes with the head coach, and at the time it was kind of like, that's nothing, but that maybe was a sign of things to come. Again, at this point, who knows? And I think with the Chris Greer thing, because obviously people are like, well, surely Greer has to go because he picked, or he signed off on Noah, Austin Jackson, Hunter Long, who barely played. But I kind of feel like if he's had what, 3 first-round picks under Brian Flores, or three drafts under Brian Flores, right? Chris Greer and Brian Flores.
Yep.
And they've had 6 picks in that time span, yeah?
6
Christian
first round, 6 first and second round.
Yeah, so 6 first round picks.
3,
One the first
4,
year,
5 for sure. 5.
So there's 6. Christian Wilkins the first year.
Yeah, you're right. It is 6. It is 6.
So Christian Wilkins,
yep,
is to me a plus. He's a tick. Like you got that one right. You got the Tua, Austin Jackson, and Noah. Tua is still on the fence, depending on which side of the fence you fall on. I think for the most part, people kind of like Austin Jackson's more of the bust territory. although he's still developing. And Noah, you can't say anything but a bust. He might develop into something, but if the NFL stops right now, you say, no, you're a bust. You've barely done anything. And then this year, Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips, you go, okay, ticks. So he's basically batting 500, which is okay, I guess. But obviously, I was saying to my friend Tom, when the one you basically get wrong is the one where you have 3 first-round picks and one of them the quarterback, it looks a lot worse. For me, I think Chris Greer deserved to keep his job, same way that Brian Flores probably deserved to keep his job. But from the outside looking in, when the last draft you just made is looking very, very good, and you could probably still get something from Tua, are you really going to lose your job over that? Clearly, he didn't. So those are some of the points I wanted to make to what you were saying. But at the same time, I think more and more people, more and more, beat writers. We had a discussion last night about it. More and more beat writers are just saying things were bad in the locker room between Brian Flores and his players, and he basically had to go.
And it's not all the players.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I think it was worse between Greer and Flo than it was Flo and the players. I want to be very clear with that. I believe that, and this is not a report. I'm not reporting that it was worse between Greer and Flo than it was the players. I just believe it was worse between Greer and Flo than it was with Flo and the players. So now we have a finger pointing contest where the Flores is saying, "Oh, you guys pick bus, and you want me to make lemonade out of lemons, right?" And then the GM is saying, "Bro, you're messing up the cap. How you want me to sign Van Noy and then flip him the next year?" And we gave him all his bonus money, and even though they got out of it pretty unscathed, actually. But and then Minka, and then we trade him the next year. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, there's some things that you should be able to patch up, especially if it's a first round pick who has a promising future. I get it. You want to put your foot down. Maybe that was the wrong person to put the foot down with. Like, man, how we would have been ahead. Now, Javon Holland, Touche's 24. That's my dog. Don't get it twisted. But who knows where we would have been had we had Minka, right? But that's here nor there. So there's this confrontation in the front office. What do you do? Flores drew a line in the sand and said, "No, I'm not working with the people you want me to work with because this is season 4." And the Dolphins said, "Hey, we're bringing in people to work with you because you're lackluster in one department and in this area, and we need that area to average 25 points a game, and we're not." Rubber hits the road. Flores said, "Nah, I'm good." And then Dolphins say, "Well, we good." Now, I'll be for real. I think this decision was made earlier in the season. I believe they said, "Hey, we're getting results and it's in-house." None of this really got out. Like you seen Van Noy, you seen all these people on the staff leave and get fired, and you seen you heard about the Van Noy stuff and Minka stuff, but it wasn't, oh, the locker room is divided, the front office is divided. You didn't get that during the season. So I feel like the front office said, you know what, as long as we're winning, it doesn't matter. And it didn't get out to the public. So when we went on that 7-game losing streak, I think the writing was on the wall. And I really believe that. And here's the bad part about that. We went on an 8 out of 9 game win streak. We won 8 out of 9 games. So what happened is, I think they put the talk of moving on from Flores on the back burner because it was like, we're doing too good. You don't fire a coach for winning 8 out of 9, wherever you are in the season, and almost making the playoffs. So I don't think they had a plan in place. Before, on day 1 of the firing, I was like, oh, they had to have a plan. They got to have a plan. They got to have somebody in the chamber ready to go. And as of today, I don't feel like that no more. I feel like because they won 8 out of 9 and they thought, you know what, we're good. We'll just keep this together because you can't fire a coach like that for going 8 out of 9. And we're a game away from the playoffs 2 years in a row, potentially coach of the year again. We can't fire this coach. But this is where I think it changed. The Tennessee game. Everything was cool. Winning changes everything. Tennessee lost. Flair flips out on Flair. Flo flips out. Flo flips out on Tua. And then there was what is reported as a fight in the locker room. Some say it was physical. I don't believe it was physical. Someone else says it was two players, one of them being Tua against Flo, and others say it was just a confrontation of words. Tua drops a rare F-bomb towards Flo. Who knows how that could have been? I can't even imagine Tua. You know what I'm saying? I can't even imagine Tua saying getting the F-bomb out, right? And then I think that's when it changed again. Like, all right, we were doing good, but then we took this loss, and look what happened as soon as the loss entered again. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when they're like, you know what? It was good because it was winning, but we're not going back to this again. And then
So can I counter you?
Yeah, go ahead. Hold on. So and then we got there, and then they said, you know what? I think he's done. And then I think that was the day they decided we're moving on. So I don't think they had a contingency. I really think we're running around with a chicken with our heads cut off, trying to find a new coach right now.
So I don't know if we had this conversation off air, on air, or at all. But do you remember before the season even started, there was rumors that Brian Flores was on the hot seat.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason Lockenford. Jason Lockenford. Hey, look, you know what? It's funny how I got some apologizing to do for some people. You know what I'm saying? Hey, my bad.
But what's interesting? So and again, as the saying goes, a broken clock is right twice a day. So Brian Flores is on the hot seat, and at the time we're laughing, going, "Dude, there's no way that's the case." You come out and say he can go 0-17. He's going to be good. They're not going to fire him. They fired him. So what if it wasn't? It wasn't made after. Decision might have been made after the Tennessee game. But what if he genuinely actually went into the season on the hot seat? Like, and to me, if you go into the season on the hot seat, and then you fire him, and you have no plan, I don't know if that makes things better or worse. Now, I can give it to you with, okay, you go into the season on the hot seat. That's no, because then this makes even less sense. You go into the season on the hot seat, you then go 1-7. One, how do you keep your job? Okay, you can say that your starting quarterback's gone down, but it's the starting quarterback that the head coach doesn't even like in the first place. So you're on the hot seat, you go 1-7, you keep your job, you then turn it around. But it's not like during that losing streak, they're probably thinking, okay, we need to make a contingency plan because this isn't going to work. We're 1-7 in a season where fans, I'm sure players, were looking at the schedule going, we ain't losing this season. Maybe 3 or 4 games maximum. So you get through that losing streak, you might turn it around, but surely they're still thinking, no, this can't work. Like, it filtered out that, yeah, you might lose your job come the end of the season. To me, like there had to have been a plan. To me, there has to be. And I think even the most, and I guess in the NFL, it's probably Bill Belichick, even the most secure job, you have to have a contingency plan. Again, as we said on this podcast, make sure there's a backup plan to the backup plan to back up the backup plan. Like, if for whatever reason you have to make a change, your head coach says something racist, emails get leaked that he's been sexist, racist, homophobic, which we've literally seen this season. To me, there should always be underneath the table a red button, panic, all hell break loose. When that button is pressed, you have to have someone to go, do you know what, we're keeping an eye on something. To me, same way they're scouting players from 2 years in advance, keep an eye out on who the next head coach is going to be. Just in case you lose your head coach, you at least know who you're going to get. And I think when you look at who we've asked to interview so far, Dan Quinn, is it Mike McDaniel from the 49ers? Yeah,
Mike McDaniel.
And Brian Dable. To me, they're 3 completely different guys.
Vance Joseph?
Yeah. So
Kellen Moore.
Okay, so yeah, so you got 5 guys. But the 3 I mentioned initially, you've got a defensive coordinator who's a former head coach, fair enough. But you got Brian Dable, who, let's be honest, is a pass-heavy guy. He's had Josh Allen. It's like pass. And that's fine. That's what you're going to lean on. Fair enough. But then you've got the run game coordinator from the 49ers. So you've got a passing guy and a running guy. They're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. So I'm looking at it going, what's your plan? Like, there's no thought process behind this. And again, maybe it literally was a case of he was on the hot seat, but he turned it around and then they had to fire him. But, shout out to Jason Lacanfort.
Hey, no. We're not shouting out Jason Lacanfort.
No. No.
Hats off to Jason Lacanfort, but no shout out. Hats off Jason Lacanfort. He sensed that it might have been a hot seat thing.
There was a little tingling.
Yeah.
Okay, if that gets out, whether it's true or not, you can't go into the off season and just be plucking out head coaches left, right, and center, because that's how you get a situation where no one's on the same page. I understand you want to speak to different people to get different ideas, but at least have, there has to be something that, brings them all in common. And maybe it's their personality. Maybe they all have a particular type of personality. But if it's not that, if they have nothing in common, then Miami, literally, what are you thinking?
Well, let's get into that. Because we have whispers that Jim Caldwell might be considered, but that's not nowhere near confirmed. It's just whispered. It's not even reported. There's 5 reported already that we're interested in, but Jim Caldwell is not one of the 5 that were reported. And then Doug Peterson's name gets thrown around a lot down here in South Florida. So there's no reported interest from the Miami Dolphins in Doug Peterson. Now, here's why I don't think we had a plan, bro. I believe we did have a plan earlier. And then I think that plan went out the window when we started winning. And it was like, all right, we're going to do this. We're just going to move forward. I think they committed to moving forward. But the week before last, it ended everything. And the honeymoon was over. And there was another fight with the front office and the coach. And they said, you know what? We're done. And we don't have a backup plan. And we're just going to go in blindfolded. I'm going to be real with you. I told you my Danny Boy and Dougie. Danny Boy and Dougie. I told you my Danny Boy and Dougie thing. I believe that happened. I believe Danny Boy called up Dougie. Dan Marino called up Doug Peterson and said, hey, bro, this is your job next year. If Doug Peterson ends up with this job, then yeah, I think that was the plan. And I think all of this other stuff is smoke and mirrors. Now, I also believe you have to do due diligence. And I want to, this is a shout out. Excuse me. Shout out to the Miami Dolphins for this. No, for real. Last year, they wanted to interview running game coordinator Mike McDaniel from the San Francisco 49ers. And instead of allowing him to be interviewed by us, San Fran gave him a raise and a new position and made him the offensive coordinator. So the Dolphins never got the chance to get him in the building. So what did the Dolphins do this year? Hey, Mike McDaniel, we still want to get our eyes on you. You know what I'm saying? Because there is merit to you coming from Yale, being this number guru wizard dude that is supposedly the puppet master behind Kyle Shanahan, right? Not saying taking anything away from Kyle Shanahan, but it sounds like it's a package. It's a 1-2, like, nah, I need him, right? So this year we say, hey, Mike McDaniel, we still have eyes on you. We want you in the building to at least see what this is. So they go after Mike McDaniel again, maybe not even really interested in making him the quarterback in the head coach, but we still have to have this conversation because we're interested, but we don't know how interested we are. We just want to have this conversation. We need to see what you are. So now they throw a head coaching position at him, and this is definitely gonna get him in the building, at least to do your due diligence. Like in 2 years from now, if San Fran is still successful and he still doesn't have a head coach position, 2 years from now something go bad, at least we already talked to him. We already know what he's about. We already know now if we like him or don't like him because we like something about him, right? Yes, so the Dolphins are doing that part right. Like, let's bring him in now. Then you have Dayball, where he's the OC for the Bills. You could do the two things at one time. You could cripple the Bills by bringing in Dayball, and now Josh Allen has to get a new offensive coordinator. Maybe it doesn't go well in Buffalo after that. Okay, then you have Dan Quinn, which is a defensive mind. Dan Quinn was the head coach of, let's go back further. Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator for the Legion of Boom, Seattle defenses. and then he became a head coach in Atlanta, took that team to the Super Bowl, and everybody knows 28-3. That was Dan Quinn's team. He was up 28-3 in the Super Bowl, should have won that Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator there. That's who Dan Quinn is. He's performing in Dallas right now as the DC, doing a great job. Turned that defense around because that defense ended up being a laughingstock. Who else we got? Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is interesting. Kellen Moore is an offensive coordinator who was the quarterback coach in Dallas, became offensive coordinator under Jason Garrett. He went to, I believe, Boise State, and he was a quarterback, right? So now he's the young new offensive coordinator, right? For Dallas, and he's being successful. We see what's going on out there in Dallas. Who did I miss, Kadeem? That we already were. Oh, Vance Joseph.
Vance Joseph, yeah.
Vance Joseph was in Miami, was the defensive coordinator under Adam Gase, and that was the year we went to the playoffs with Adam Gase, right? The next year, Vance Joseph became the head coach in Denver. So, hey, let's bring these guys in. This is what we like so far. And this could all be smoke and mirrors. The head coach could not even be on that list, right? So now you got to think, like, what do you want to do? Go ahead, Kadeem.
Well, I was going to say, when we were interviewing for Brian Flores, or hired Brian Flores, remember it was like Chris Richard, Mike McDaniel, all these guys. Brian Flores kind of came out of left field, and people are kind of saying, all the names you're hearing now, that's all good. The chances are Miami are going to surprise everyone once again and hire the person that no one's speaking about. And is that person Doug Peterson? As you were saying, they speak to Mike McDaniel now. Maybe not for this time. Maybe it's a case of, Doug, come in, settle things down, give us 2, 3, 4 years, and at that point you go and get Mike McDaniel. I don't think that would be the case, because you can't bring in someone for 2, 3 years as a head coach, because again, it's like, well, what if he does really, really well? After 3 years, he'll be like, I ain't going nowhere. We have the situation, and shout out to Josh Kasker, because he's a Man United fan like myself. Man United hired an interim head coach. So he got the job in November, and his remit was, we're going to hire you now until the end of the season, which is May, and then they're going to take a consultancy role for 2 years after that. But it's like, what if he comes in and does really, really well? He's like, I ain't going nowhere. So maybe it's a case of they interviewing all these people. And again, this isn't something I believe in, but it's something which at this point you have no idea. You bring in Doug Peterson now, let him settle things down 2 to 3 years, and then you bring in Mike McDaniel. But at the same time, even as I say that, it sounds dumber and dumber, because are you really going to waste Tua's rookie quarterback with a bridge guy? Like none of it makes sense. But at the same time, this whole situation doesn't make sense, because we shouldn't be talking about this. These podcasts for the next 3 to 4 months literally should be us bringing guys on, discussing Tua or Deshaun Watson. That was the plan. Like, we had a plan. This was the sophomore leap was meant to take last year, but we didn't take it because of a number of reasons. And now we're here talking about the head coach. So I know what I just said probably doesn't make no sense, but at this point, I'm trying to just think of something to make me sleep at night, I guess.
Yeah, so we're not bringing in a Band-Aid at head coach position. We don't do that. This is the head coach. This is the head coach we hope we win the Super Bowl with. That's what happens. Let's see what Sherrod Steve is texting me right now. Yeah, we're not gonna read that.
He's angry, isn't he?
Shout out to Sherrod Steve. Shout out to Sherrod Steve. We're not gonna read that. So here's the thing. Shout out to my London co-host, you know what I'm saying? When things start to go pear-shaped, Pete Tongue, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how y'all say it?
No.
Pear-shaped?
Oh, yeah, pear-shaped, yeah. Finger pear-shaped.
See what I'm saying? I don't even know why y'all say that. What is Pete Tongue?
See, the Pete Tongue, I have no idea what that is. Things can go pear-shaped, but that thing you added at the end, I have no idea.
What is pear-shaped, bro? Why do things go pear-shaped? Like, what's the wrong with the shape of a pear? Oh, it's like drip, like it goes down? I don't know.
I would think it's because, like, an apple is round, I guess, an orange is round, and pear isn't round. It's kind of like a little bump to it. You don't really expect it. But actually, very quickly, so I play Call of Duty a lot, so much. And I played a game with a guy from Florida. Never met him before, came across him. And you know how these people do the whole, want a bottle of water, mate? It's like, I don't sound like that. Like, stop it.
Right.
Yeah. But we were discussing, stuff like, the random sayings that we have in London. You know, we had it. I can't remember the episode it was, but you know the whole Cockney rhyming slang
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff. And I think pear shaped is one of those things which I guess I could Google why it's pear shaped, but at this point, you just have to take some of our London slang and just deal with it.
All right, so I got a question for you, Kadeem.
Yep.
Are we going older head coach with experience, or are we going young head coach trying to find a new Sean McVay? What's his LaFleur? Is Mike LaFleur? Matt LaFleur?
Yeah.
One of the LaFleur in Green Bay, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. Who you got? Who you said?
Cliff Kingsbury.
I digress. I would not say Cliff Kingsbury, but you going to the young dude, right? What do you think? What do you think route we go? Or matter of fact, what direction would you like to go?
Am I Black Stephen Ross or am I Kadeem Simmons, the Go Time Dolphins co-host?
You're Black Stephen Ross.
If I'm Black Stephen Ross, I probably go young head coach again.
If you could deem Go Time Dolphins co-host,
I go experienced. I just think Stephen Ross is probably thinking it's easier to control a young person because that person's probably going to be grateful. Like, thank you, Mr. Ross. Thank you for giving me this chance. You want me to pick this guy? I'll pick this guy, all that kind of stuff. You bring in an experienced guy, and he's like, no, I know what I'm doing. Like, you can't tell me to pick that person because I'm picking, you know.
And that might be what the Dolphins want, though. You see, they might want to expand. So we don't know it. That was just a question for you. So here's the thing. Adam Gase had the same thing Brian Flores had. This is a fact. They both had control over the 53-man roster. They both had control over their staff as well. All right. The only thing that changed with Gase was Vance Joseph left and became a head coach, and Gase wanted Vic Fangio, but Ross said no because he didn't want turnover at the DC position. So that's the only thing difference that Gase didn't get was the say in his DC. So, and it's understandable. I can understand that. But so when you bring in this next head coach, if you're an older coach, you have all your guys already. You know what you're going to do. If you're a defensive minded coach, you're already the defense. But you already have offensive minded guys that you're going to bring in with you. Like, all right, this is the guy I want to come in to do my offense. And then you probably have contingencies after contingencies after contingencies. If you're a young new head coach, you're probably good on one side of the ball, and then that side of the ball is going to be your thing. And the other side of the ball, you're going to bring in somebody else. But if you're young and this is your first gig, like an Adam Gase, like a Brian Flores, what happens when you lose one person? You know what I'm saying? What happens when your OC goes? How many OCs do you got in the chamber if you're 33 years old and only coach one place? You see what I'm saying? So I have my concerns. I will tell you this. If the coach that comes in is not Doug Peterson or Sean Payton, I have my concerns. I'm not gonna lie, y'all boys. You know, I'm very optimistic. Everybody knows that. I see. I'm
the negative one.
Listen, I'm the negative one. It's not that I'm being negative, but I'm gonna be real. I'm not comfortable right now. I'm not. The only intriguing thing about everything right now is Mike McDaniel, because from what we keep hearing, he's this Yale graduate, numbers dude, geeked up on football and numbers and some type of wizard behind the scenes. And then San Fran basically confirms it by keep paying him and promoting him so no one else takes him. So that's cool. And he follows Kyle Shanahan everywhere he goes. That's cool because someone got to give this man a shot eventually. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. So it's intriguing, but I'm like, bro, Adam Gase said something. And this, I didn't only hear this from Adam Gase. I heard this from a couple other people, you know, in my just nerding out when I watch interviews and stuff. But I remember when Adam Gase was here, he said this. He said, yeah, there's a couple things that I didn't know would happen as a head coach. There's a couple things that you take your attention away from being a head coach. You have more responsibility. You have this person's family member going through something, and you have to deal with this person as a person, not even as a coach. You see what I'm saying? And then you have this person can't come to practice because of his issues. You see what I'm saying? So it's more than just being a coach. You have to be you're in the position to be like, man, like you're in charge of a lot of stuff. So it's not just who's the numbers guy, Mike McDaniel. Like it's who is he? Do we feel like he's responsible enough and assertive enough to carry our franchise to where we needed to be? I'm gonna throw a name at you, bro. How you feel about Josh McDaniel from the Patriots? Would you entertain Josh McDaniels to be your head coach for the Miami Dolphins?
So I've tweeted this out a few times. I've said it as well. The Patriot way needs to the name needs to change. It's the Belichick way. There is no Patriot way. It's Belichick. Okay, Mike Vrabel's gone to Tennessee and he's doing well, but I don't feel like he's running a Patriot system, if that makes sense. I feel like he's doing his own thing. And Pat McAfee was talking about this on his show. He was saying that these Patriot guys who come out of that building and try and replicate what Bill Belichick does in New England, it's never going to work. Unless you come in and win a ring straight away, people are always going to go, listen, dude, I understand you've been in New England. I understand what you're saying, but you know, what have you done? What does your resume say? So Josh McDaniel, no. And again, I think it might have been Pat McAfee thinking about this as well, or someone was. I don't think he'll leave New England. I think he'll sit there and go, I've left and come back. I've stayed there for so long.
He's the heir apparent.
Yeah, definitely. I'll get your opinion on Josh McDaniels, but I've just seen something on social media which I want to share with you. But I want to share it so that everyone can see it instead of speaking about it. So do you want to go through that first, or do you want to go through?
Yeah, I'll give you my Josh McDaniels real quick. So I think there's something to Josh McDaniels because just like you said about Mike Vrabel, here's something that Flores couldn't do. Mike Vrabel lost his offensive coordinator. His Arthur Smith went to Atlanta to become head coach, and Mike Vrabel replaced his offensive coordinator and without missing a beat. Flores couldn't do that. You see what I'm saying? Flores never had a good offensive coordinator. So that's what you call a tick for Mike Vrabel, right? So Josh McDaniels, the interesting thing for me with Josh McDaniels, and no, I wouldn't want him, but I wouldn't hate it, right? I'm not gonna hate that. So actually, I don't know if there's a pick that I can hate, honestly, because it's trust. Like if they said, hey, we got this no one never heard of. All right, well, let's see what we get. But I'm not gonna hate it. So I don't think there's a quarterback hire or a coach hire that I would actually hate, unless they went off the rocker and hired Chad O'Shea. You know what I'm saying? Like I would hate that.
Or Adam Gates again.
Yeah, I hate that because we already had it. Although I don't think he should have got fired. But I would hate that. So the thing about Josh McDaniels is you gotta believe he knows what he's doing with quarterbacks. Belichick isn't the one that makes all the Patriot quarterbacks look good. It's Josh McDaniels. So that would rob the Patriots of having Josh McDaniels under Mac Jones, and it'll bring Josh McDaniels to Tua. I don't love it. I'm just throwing it out there. It's interesting, but that's all I got. What you got on Twitter?
So it's this, and I find it quite interesting. If you're not watching on YouTube, we're just talking about something right now. But can you see that?
I do.
So I'll read it out. It's an Instagram comment. I don't know who's Instagram. I assume it's Tua.
It is Tua. I actually seen this earlier. As a matter of fact, it might be the last thing I seen on YouTube, but it is Tua on YouTube on my phone. It's Tua's Instagram.
So Tua says, "Yeah, Tua with the crew. #TT4G is what it is." But it's a comment underneath it, which is the most interesting. Mike Gesicki, next year we're throwing the ball 40 times a game. Mike, are you staying? Mike, are you staying? Mike, are you staying? Or is Tua leaving it with Mike? Or is Mike in that situation right now where it's like, I'm still technically a Miami Dolphin, so, you know, until I'm not Miami Dolphin, I'm gonna act like a Dolphin. But to me anyway, that's interesting because Mike doesn't have to say anything. Mike isn't guaranteed to be the next year. If that's Jalen Waddle, you go, you know what? Yeah, fair enough.
This is real good. This is good
for
stuff.
Mike to say it, yeah, maybe I get to keep my Gesicki jersey.
Bruh, this is interesting. Want to know why? Because Tua said year 2 with the crew. And the report that there was a confrontation in the locker room there was a fight in the locker room, whether it was a verbal or a fist fight, we don't know. But Tua dropped a rare F-bomb, right? That was the rumor. And I joke around and I say, well, this is what the F-bomb sounded like. This is what Tua said to Flo. You know what I'm saying? And I came up with 4 examples of what Tua could have said to Flo dropping the F-bomb. But one of them was, why the F we threw the ball 40 times in the rain? And the fact that Mike Gesicki just said next year we're throwing the ball 40 times a game, it's almost like, was that a shot on the way out? Like, hey, we're throwing the ball 40 times a game while it's raining. We're going to throw the ball 40 times a game next year anyway because you're my quarterback. I think that's an endorsement for sure from Mike Gesicki for Tua.
Yeah, definitely. And again, maybe it goes back to, and this is pure speculation, genuine speculation, but maybe the Dolphins said, you know, we're going to keep Tua. We're going to build around Tua. You have no say in that. We're not getting Watson because of whatever reasons. They speak to Mike Gesicki or his agents. We want you to stay, and he's like, not if Flores stays. I'm not doing that. I'm not being in a situation where I'm getting targeted 3-4 times a game. I'm getting taken out on 3rd down. It makes no sense. And I don't think Gesicki is like that. Maybe his agents want him to have a bigger role. I'm sure Gesicki is one of them guys where, as long as we're winning, I'm okay. Yes, I want more targets, but I'm not going to be like certain wide receivers who got thrown out of Tampa Bay. He's not that kind of attitude, that mentality. So I'm not saying that the Dolphins have chosen Mike Gesicki over Brian Flores. Not that at all. But it's more a case of, again, we drafted Mike Gesicki. We want to extend our guys. We don't want to let Gesicki go out and become a Gronk pass catcher. Not because the blocking is never going to be there, but someone who's going to just dominate this league. And we could have kept him, but he left because he didn't want to stay with the head coach. And it's not just him. Maybe it's also Tua. Now, Tua isn't going to demand a trade, but maybe they're like, we feel, because again, Ross basically said we've got a good young team. And if you've got a good young team and you want to keep that good young team together, then find you a head coach that can make this good young team work. And maybe Flores leaving allows you to develop Tua, keep Mike Gesicki. There's no issues with Jalen Waddle, but maybe your first round picks and Liam Eichenberg and Austin Jackson, they become good NFL starters. Yeah.
And that's funny that you said that, bro, because I was like, Jermaine Illuminor went to the Raiders and became something, and he didn't make it on our roster somehow. That is an indictment on coaching. If you have an O lineman that doesn't start for the worst line in the league, goes to start and become something for the Raiders, that is an indictment. How about this though? Shout out, and we didn't get to this. I'm sure you can understand why we didn't get to this on Monday. Shout out to Nick Kerr, the winner of the Go Time Dolphins Fantasy Football League. Nick Kerr, his team name was Finit Tua Win It. He won $300. I'm thankful that he was in the United States, so I didn't have to pay 300 pounds. So, you know what I'm saying? He won $300, you know what I'm saying? And we coming out the pocket for Nick Kerr. Shout out to Nick Kerr. He was at the last game. Versus the Patriots, and his in-laws are Patriots fans. We feel for you, bro, but at least you've had the leg up on them for the past couple years. Congratulations. We appreciate you playing. We hope to see you next year. Kadeem's not going to play with us, but we hope to see you next year in the Go Time Dolphins Fantasy Football League, man. We're about to get into bonus time. Y'all know what time it is, man. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Kadeem Simmons, Charlie Touche, already.
By the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's showtime. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
So since you brought up Instagram and social media, I kind of feel like I want to say Tua is going to be the quarterback, right? And that if you're on YouTube, you can see the Tua post while we're shooting right now. Year 2 with the crew, and it says TT4G. What that stand for? What's that hashtag?
Tua Tagovailoa for greatness. That's the first thing that came to my mind. Like, I assume TT is his name. Is that G? Or Tua Tagovailoa for Gesicki? That's an odd one, but
For gang.
yeah.
For God. I don't know. Who knows?
Probably for God.
All right, so yeah, we just shared the Tua pick on the screen. How about this? Someone else posted something on social media. Can you find that Xavien Howard tweet?
The tweet?
Yes. Go to Xavien Howard's. Yeah, we're gonna pull this up. So if you're not listening, Xavien Howard has a tweet where it's a picture of him leaving Hard Rock Stadium, and the only comment on only caption on the picture is an X. If you could find that, it's probably one of his last couple.
It's literally the only thing he tweeted since then.
So how about this? Xavien Howard tweets this, and you guys have to come to Go Time Dolphins to see what it says. Xavien Howard has a picture leaving Hard Rock Stadium, like, hey, I'm out of here. Appreciate y'all. And he just puts an X up. For me, if you follow me on Twitter and you follow X or you go to that picture, you're going to see what I put under the picture. So I'm like, hey, holla at you. Deuces. All right, bro. Hey, take it easy. You know what I'm saying?
There it is, like under the picture.
So I'm like, hey, it is what it is, bro. You got paid again. You know what I'm saying? You held us hostage. We appreciate your services. But the word on the street is he's going to ask for more money. Do you pay Xavien Howard, Kadeem, more money, or do you shoot the deuces and say, we appreciate you? Matter of fact, that's for everybody out there. Do we pay Xavien Howard or do we shoot the deuces?
Who's the quarterback next year?
Tua.
Ooh. I don't want to be that guy and say it depends on what you're doing for the agency, all that kind of stuff. I want to say I think you're kind of forced to pay him again because the drop off from him to Noah, unless Noah has been like Goku in a hyperbolic chamber and he's just been there, I'm ready. Like, while you guys are fighting on the field, trust me, when I come in next year, I got this. Unless Noah's been like that. But then again, I guess you can get rid of him, eat the dead cap, build.
What? Oh, hey, I thought that was your accent. I thought you said eat the dead cat. Like, is that something they say in London? Eat the dead cat. Like,
no.
Man.
Do you try and lean more on the offensive side of the ball? So I guess you drop down on defense. But I think if you've got $80 million in cap, you don't need to get rid of Xavien Howard. It's not like you need the money or you need the picks. Yeah, you're going to want more picks. Trade one of the first next year back into the first this year. So I keep him. I still think with X and Jones on the outside and Holland and Brandon Jones and Jalen Phillips, Christian Wilkins, Ray. Again, to me, I keep the band back together.
I was a fan of trading Xavien Howard last season, and we didn't, and it's cool. I get it. I mean, we didn't do anything, so we probably should have. But hindsight's 2020. I wanted to trade him last year. We didn't. I have turned the corner, not because I like him or dislike him or whatever you want to say, but because I know the window is getting smaller. So I feel like we need to keep him because there's no one behind him. But you could also go get a Stephon Gilmore for 2 years, right? He's up. He's got some mileage on the tires, but X is climbing up in age too. Like, okay, cool. So I'm under the impression we will keep him, but I don't want to pay him because now with the cap money that you have enough cap space to go get at least four good, like, big signings. X is going to eat into that. So you might not have cap to get 4 big signings no more. You might get like 3. Go ahead.
Just cut Jesse Davis. Cut Jesse Davis, and the money you're saving from Jesse Davis, give it to X.
I mean, you're gonna make moves because you can move on from Parker too. You can move on from Rowe. You can move on from Parker. Smythe is not gonna be on the books. So there's a lot. We got all off season for this, but I don't just in the big picture. I don't like the fact of being. I don't like the bully in the lunchroom saying, "Give me your cornbread. You want your cornbread?" Like, nah, bro. I gave you my cornbread last time. See, when you give him your cornbread once, you have to keep giving him your cornbread, bro. That's why you nip it in the butt. Say no.
So for the UK listeners, that's something we've never had to deal with. Like, no one bullying us at lunchtime for our cornbread. Like, it's just not something we have. Like, our chicken drumsticks, our turkey twizzlers, our chips. Yeah, like, at least let's have like tater tots. I think UK listeners know what tater tots is because it's like it's going global. But no, that's not something we have to deal with.
Let us know if y'all want to keep X or should we trade him if he demands for more money.
Very quickly before we go, I'm loving this share video screen feature. Brilliant. This is from dolphinstalk.com. It's just all Dolphins fans should watch the 49 Cowboys game this Sunday. 3 of the 5 names Miami requested to speak to will be coaching in that game, and it's a valid point. If you want to, when we knew we were getting Brian Flores, we all watched that Super Bowl, and everyone was like, okay, this is going to be fun. So we've at least asked to speak to them. It's a game which, listen, we have nothing else to watch on Sundays now. So watch that, enjoy yourself, and maybe we can learn something about a potential Miami Dolphins head coach in the future.
Next week, we got same old Dolphins coming over to Go Time Dolphins. Josh Katzker and his brother Aaron the Brain will be joining us here on Go Time Dolphins next week. They're a part of DolphinsTalk.com. Y'all don't want to miss that one. It's going to be fun.